Is that ever possible? I know a lot of fans, they'd love to see you back.
Look, never say never, right? As it stands today, that isn't an option for me, but look, things change quite quick.
Ian Poulter has just dropped the kind of career bombshell that slices straight through golf's old traditions. What sounds like a simple update is actually a turning point, one shaped by fractured alliances, LIV fallout, and a legacy now hanging in the balance. And today, I'll reveal what really pushed him to this moment. Career shift. Ian Poulter's latest declaration hit the golf world with the kind of abrupt finality nobody wanted to hear, but everyone secretly expected. This year, Poulter made it plain. His Ryder Cup journey is done. Not paused, not "we'll see," done. And coming from him, the man who practically is the Ryder Cup highlight reel, that admission landed like a cold slap across European golf. He didn't dress it up either. Poulter said he doesn't see a scenario where he's part of Team Europe again, pointing to age, broken relationships with tour leadership, and the long shadows cast by his move to LIV Golf. Reuters captured the tone perfectly, frustration mixed with dignity, a sense that too much was said and done during the LIV fallout for things to ever feel normal again. But here's the twist. Poulter isn't retiring, not even close. He's still grinding on LIV, traveling, competing, adjusting, trying to squeeze every last drop out of the competitive flame inside him. Reports underline that he's eyeing qualifying routes for majors, even considering final qualifying for the Open. So it's not a farewell tour, it's a fork in the road. Poulter is stepping away from the Ryder Cup spotlight, but he's not walking away from elite golf. That nuance is important because it reframes the announcement. This isn't a surrender, it's a recalibration. The man who once electrified Europe with impossible putts and volcanic celebrations now stands at a crossroads that feels more reflective than explosive. And that tonal shift, from the showman to the realist, is what makes this announcement feel enormous. For fans, for Europe, and for Poulter himself. LIV Leap. To understand why Poulter reached this point, you have to rewind to the decision that reshaped his career, leaving the PGA Tour and joining LIV Golf. When LIV first stormed into the scene with Saudi-backed money and promises of disruption, Poulter was one of the headline European names who took the leap, and that leap carried consequences, immediate, public, and brutal. The PGA Tour suspended players who jumped ship, and Poulter quickly found himself at the center of a legal war that became the most chaotic storyline professional golf had seen in decades.
On the PGA Tour by willfully violating a regulation. Simultaneous to you receiving this memo, the players listed below are being notified that they are suspended or otherwise no longer eligible to participate.
In 2022, Poulter's name appeared among the plaintiffs challenging the PGA Tour's sanctions, part of an antitrust lawsuit that triggered global sports headlines. Outlets like the South China Morning Post documented how the complaint read like a manifesto against the tour's power structure. It was messy from the beginning. Temporary restraining orders, emergency motions, countersuits, shifting alliances. And with every headline, the tension between LIV players and the traditional tours hardened. What made the saga even more unpredictable was how fast the legal posture changed. Players entered, withdrew, reappeared, and LIV itself morphed into an active plaintiff. Negotiations between the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, the Saudi PIF, and regulators changed the playing field every few months. Sports Pro and TNT Sports both highlighted how this wasn't just a lawsuit, it was a political and commercial battle where every move carried implications far beyond Poulter's personal career. And through all of it, the reputational cost lingered. For many LIV players, the conflict wasn't just about contracts or suspensions. It was about loyalty, betrayal, legacy, and identity. Poulter's announcement today, stepping away from the Ryder Cup path, is inseparable from this origin story. Legal turmoil. Once the initial shock of the LIV exodus settled, the legal chapter of Ian Poulter's journey became its own saga, and honestly, one of the most tangled in modern golf. Poulter's name was part of the original antitrust action launched by LIV players against the PGA Tour, but the legal picture never stayed still for long.
Was you actually a 4 handicap? But were you actually playing to a 4 handicap, or were you not much better?
Wikipedia might tell a lie, but it says that you didn't play comps because the pro you're working for made you pay a green fee. Is that true or false?
Well, there's lots of kids watching, so I can't say what he actually really was, but
TNT Sports and multiple outlets tracked how names were added, removed, repositioned, and sometimes quietly withdrawn as the strategy behind the scenes evolved. It wasn't just a lawsuit, it was a living organism that kept changing shape. At one point, LIV itself stepped in as a plaintiff. At other points, individual players adjusted their involvement depending on what negotiations were happening between the tour, the Saudi PIF, and regulators. For Poulter specifically, several filings documented his name being pulled from certain claims, signaling a shift from hoping for courtroom vindication to accepting that the legal route wasn't going to be the fix many once imagined. By late 2023, the tone across the industry had turned. The dream of a single, dramatic court ruling rewriting the sport's power structure had faded. Sports Pro reporting made the reality clear. The real movement was happening behind closed doors, through negotiations and slow political bridge building rather than gavel-slamming legal victories. And that's the bottom line now. The legal fireworks cooled off, but the consequences stayed. Eligibility rules, political stigmas, and selection dynamics remained the long-term fallout. Poulter ended up in the same place as many players, not beaten legally, but caught in a system where reputation and relationships matter more than any lawsuit ever could. And that's precisely why his Ryder Cup announcement carries weight. It's not just age or form, it's the scar tissue left by years of legal and political crossfire. Current form. Today, Ian Poulter is firmly planted in the LIV Golf world, a veteran presence, a brand, and one of the unmistakable personalities of the Majestics GC. LIV's player profiles and event coverage paint a picture of a competitor who's still all in, even if the results haven't always cooperated. Poulter's performances across recent LIV seasons have been a mixed bag. Flashes of sharp iron play, stretches where he fought to find rhythm, and a constant backdrop of team reshuffle rumors. LIV's relegation rules, roster adjustments, and evolving competitive structure put pressure on every player, but especially the older names who defined the sport's previous era. Poulter sits right in that tension. Publications like Golf Monthly point out that Poulter still wants big stage golf. He's openly targeted qualification routes for majors, especially the Open, where final qualifying has turned into a realistic path for committed veterans who are willing to grind through the demanding process. That dual existence, LIV team obligations alongside an old-school qualifier hustle, shows exactly where Poulter is mentally. He's not retiring, he's not fading quietly, and he's certainly not content to be remembered only for past Ryder Cup fireworks. Inside LIV, he remains both a competitor and a presence. The Majestics rely on his leadership, branding power, and veteran experience in a league still finding its long-term shape. But with LIV introducing tighter performance rules, younger players pushing upward, and teams constantly evaluating roster security, Poulter stands in that crossroads every veteran eventually hits. Keep grinding, adapt, or eventually make way. Media moments. Ian Poulter has always understood the power of the mic. Long before the LIV controversy, he mastered the art of cultivating attention. The signature fist pumps, the dramatic celebrations, the witty banter and bold statements that made him a media favorite. Now, even in this transitional phase of his career, he's using every bit of that media savvy. Between long-form YouTube interviews, candid Instagram X Reels, and post-match commentary, Poulter remains a storyteller, consciously shaping how his journey is perceived. He doesn't shy away from the spotlight, he leans into it.
It's a bit skanky, but
yeah, really skanky.
We'll take it. Just play and have a crack with it.
Recent clips capture moments of reflection, quiet admissions about tough times, nostalgic references to Ryder Cup glory, and renewed enthusiasm for big challenges. Editors and content curators know these clips are gold. A solemn line about stepping away from Europe, followed by a high-energy Instagram volley or a behind-the-scenes grind. That contrast, poised calm interspersed with competitive fire, creates a compelling narrative arc. As per Golf WRX and other media trackers, these moments have become central to how fans and pundits digest Poulter's post-PGA, post-Ryder Cup identity. Social media has also become a strategic arena. Short-form content, reels, match teasers, day-in-the-life snippets give Poulter a way to stay relevant, even if tournament results aren't always stellar. They humanize him, show the grind, and remind viewers he's still in the fight. Plus, in an age where attention spans are short and narratives faster than ever, these clips help control the story, from defector to comeback kid, from controversy to resilience. For anyone assembling a media package, whether video montage, documentary piece, or social recap, Poulter's recent output is a goldmine: emotional weight, visual contrast, and narrative tension all in one. Legacy outlook. What does all of this, the announcement, the LIV shift, the lawsuits, the mixed results, the media hustle, mean for Ian Poulter's legacy? The simplest answer: it becomes more complicated. Poulter isn't walking away as a clean-cut hero or villain. Instead, he becomes a layered figure in golf's most turbulent era, a Ryder Cup icon whose flair, clutch performances, and passionate spirit made him beloved, yet also a controversial defector who challenged tradition and stirred bitter conflict. That duality ensures his name will be debated for years.
Cash money, baby, cash money! Very similar, Gussie.
Bit closer.
3'6". 2020.
With his Ryder Cup playing days effectively conceded, what remains is a future defined by choice and reinvention. Poulter could lean fully into LIV, embracing a role as veteran ambassador, mentor, or even a voice for the next generation. He might pursue occasional majors via qualifiers, proving that performance and grit still matter. Or he might transition toward media, exhibitions, commentary, or Ryder Cup adjacent leadership roles if relationships eventually heal. In any of these paths, Poulter's story becomes about more than golf. It becomes about adaptation, survival, identity. That said, bridging the gap back won't be easy. The legal dust may have settled, but the reputational scars linger. The fracture between tours, the baggage attached to LIV defector, and the divided loyalties among fans and institutions mean that redemption won't come from a single result or statement. It will come from consistent presence, humility, and perhaps new kinds of contributions to the sport. For fans, pundits, and future players, Poulter's arc serves as a cautionary tale, but also a testament. A caution about the cost of revolution and the weight of legacy. A testament to resilience, to evolving with the times, and to refusing to fade quietly. Whether history remembers him as a betrayer or a trailblazer, or more likely both, Poulter's final chapters are far from written. As the smoke from litigation clears and the glitz of LIV settles into its own rhythm, one fact stands out. Ian Poulter's decision isn't the end, it's an evolution. His Ryder Cup story may be paused forever, but his competitive fire, media presence, and fight for relevance remain aflame. For golf, for fans, for generations yet to come, his journey is a living case study of legacy under pressure, adaptability in crisis, and what it means to rewrite one's playbook mid-game. Keep watching and subscribe to this channel because the next chapter might be the most revealing of all.